Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Nice little day here on Saturday. Plus money again. Made plus money on Friday. Needed that after some brutal days Wednesday, Thursday last week. So we're back on the come up here. I'll be going through that show record at the end of the episode. Got 5 bets in for Sunday. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers who might be watching this sports betting NBA video. But more importantly, let's go ahead and roll right into these best bets we've got for Sunday. Quick reminder, we also have the live stream tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. It's a little bit earlier than normal, so I can go out and do Mother's Day stuff as well. But definitely tune in for that. Going to be looking at some best bets for this Minnesota-Denver game, as well as that Knicks-Pacers game. Got 5 in now, but I think we can find a couple more together. You guys bring your bets. We go through those in the comments, etc. You already know the drill. But for right now, let's talk about Ant Edwards. Over 33.5 points and assists combined, minus 105, full unit. Went and did this last game. Coming right back to it. Man had a bad game. And honestly, that whole team had a bad game. They were smelling themselves, feeling themselves real good for about 4 days off as the champs were just sitting there stewing and waiting to come back at them. So that Denver money line last game looked really good. Would expect the champs to keep coming and bringing it the same way that they did in game 3 as opposed to the first 2 games of the series. But either way, I also expect Ant to come back and have a big bounce back game for himself. Where in this last game, only took about 14 shots, 21 points. You probably were all watching as well. And this is the game where I'm picturing him coming right back and doing what he's been doing for the majority of the playoffs since he started playing in the postseason. In his playoff career, he's still up to 38.2 points and assists in the last 2 playoffs. I should speak more specific, the last 2 playoffs, and that's in 39.6 minutes per game, which I still believe in him getting moving forward. He's going to play 40 minutes when they're in a close game. 23 field goal attempts and 10.5 potential assists in these last 10 games, not including this last one. So you take out the last one, which was, to me, an outlier because he's got way more of a use case here of him doing really well in the playoffs with 38 points and assists combined, as opposed to this last game. So just don't get too caught up in what happens game by game. Realize that a lot of times when a guy has a bad game, the bounce back factor comes into play because he gets to play the same squad just a couple nights later. And that's what I'm expecting from Ant. He wasn't hanging his head. He's still good to go. KCP still hurt. Jamal Murray seems to be a lot better, but KCP still is not the same dude on defense. And honestly, even if he is, can he handle Ant? There's not a real good answer for him. They threw a ton of guys at him, so I'm still throwing the assist back in the bet because the possibility of him getting 27 points and 6 or 7 assists still pretty high. So we're going to add the assists in there because I think they will force the ball out of his hands at points throughout this game, but he's still going to get his. So we're going right back to Ant to get over 33.5 PA. Everything else I have for you here for Sunday right now is for this Knicks and Pacers game. So kicking it off with the first one in there, and it is the monster bet of the game for me. I'm going 1.5 units for Josh Hart to lead this game in rebounds. I really liked the 12.5 boards. I gave that out in the Discord. So if you are not yet in there, link is in the description. You can get these bets a little bit early. Handed out 12.5 rebounds, and that's totally gone now. It's only at 13.5 for Josh at about plus money though. So it's an okay bet, but that 13 versus the 14 that he would need on his core prop, there's a pretty big difference there. Still, him getting 13 rebounds in this game should lead it. Very, very much so should lead the game in that. He had 26 rebound chances last game with 18 boards. In this series now, he's at 22.7 rebound chances, and Isaiah Hartenstein, 16 rebound chances per game. So that's his biggest competition, I would say, in this game is his own teammate, Isaiah Hartenstein. And the thing with Hartenstein is he's definitely battling other dudes much bigger than the ones Josh Hart's going up against to get those boards. That's why you see Josh Hart with a really, really good success rate when he goes up for those rebound chances. 62% of the rebounds that are considered rebound chances for him, he's pulling those down, right? You look at Siakam, he's the only other dude on the Pacers that you go, okay, well, maybe he could challenge him for it, but he's only at 12.7 rebound chances a game anyway to lead the Pacers. So everybody on the Pacers plays a lot fewer minutes than what you're going to see Hart playing. He played 43 or 44 last game. Actually, before that, in the 2 prior games, he played 48 minutes, the entirety of the game, which he's done now 4 times in the postseason. So the minutes are going to be there for him. The rebound chances should be higher than anybody else's because they have been every game of this series. He leads in rebound chances and rebounds. So this minus 150 number is still just like right for the taking here, man. I'm not scared off because he had a big rebounding game last game. Like, rebounding is heart and hustle, right? Pun intended. You don't got to worry about the shots going down when you just try as hard as Josh Hart does on every single play. He'll have a much better opportunity than his own teammate, like I said, Hart, to get those boards. So we'll take him to lead this game in rebounds. I got 1.5 units on it to get a full unit back. On the other side of the ball, Tyrese Haliburton, going to go back to him too, man. I mean, everything has shown that if he shoots the ball more in this series, this team's going to be successful. So I'm taking him over 21.5 points for a full unit. I just feel like I mean, I don't feel like, I know based on what he did in these last two games that he knows he needs to shoot. This isn't the time to be like, well, let me get the ball to my teammates and make sure everyone's involved. No, it's the time to get buckets and take the highest percentage shot that's likely to get your team the W. That for him is going to be a lot of threes and a lot of attacking the basket with either that floater or getting all the way to the rim like he did. He had 12 paint points in this last game, in addition to his 16 threes that he tried and made 6 of them, right? So he scored 18 points from 3, 12 in the paint. Boom, you got 30 right there, right? And I'm not saying he's going to hit 6 threes again, but my point is like if he's going to take that many shots, as opposed to the way that he was playing in the majority of the Bucks series, as well as game 1 of this series, where he took 6 shots in game 1, that just ain't going to cut it, man. He's got to do better, and he has in these last 2 games now, where he's gotten the 30 plus in both those games, right? The other thing for him moving forward is, the best defender against him has been Dante DiVincenzo, who's guarded him for the entirety of the series. And the majority of the time that they're both on the floor, Dante is his primary defender. But White Dante is now also their best shooter and the dude that is likely to take almost, if not as many shots as Jalen Brunson, who continues to nurse that foot, right? Even if Jalen Brunson is fully healthy and takes another 28 shots next game, you still got to believe that Dante DiVincenzo is going to take at least 20 shots once again himself. And that means that he's getting tired on the other end of the ball, right? Like when he was in game 1, shot a good amount, but not nearly as many as these last 2 games where he's taken 20 and 26 field goal attempts. As I said there, as the best defender, taking 46 field goal attempts in the last 2 games for White Dante, because they need him. They need him to hit threes, and they need him to take shots and be that second option behind Jalen Brunson now. There's no OG, right? We already know that. Obviously, Julius Randle hasn't been around for a long time now, and they're running out of options of guys to shoot. They're bringing on Deuce McBride simply because they need the shooting now. Not even worried about the fact that he might be a liability on defense against a couple guys. Like, this is a good situation for Dante to have to keep shooting, which means he's going to be tired guarding Tyrese. And for Tyrese, if we just even dumb this down, right? He took 19 field goal attempts 2 games ago. He took 26. Where am I? No, he took the 26 field goal attempts in this last game, right? Let's just say he takes 18 plus again, which has actually now become a conservative projection for his amount of attempts. Well, if you look at the games this season where he took at least 18 field goal attempts, that's happened 21 times. He's gone over 21.5 points in 18 of them, right? Averaging about 28 points per game in those games that he takes at least 18 field goal attempts. Obviously, like, you know, this is going to be a better defense that he might have faced in some other games within those 21, but it's still a moment in time where we know Tyrese is looking to shoot. So when I feel comfortable that he's going to continue to look to shoot because success has followed his increase in field goal attempts, then we're going to go right back to him to get the 22 points that we need here in game 4. Gonna go right back to Tyrese as well for the same bet that we had in this last game. A little bit different than it was, but if you go to DraftKings, the head-to-head bets here for Tyrese Haliburton and Jalen Brunson, you can look at H2H props and get 3-pointers specifically, and you can get Haliburton, Tyrese Hali here, to get more threes made than Jalen Brunson. He's got to get 2 more, right? The line is now -1.5 for him to out 3-pointer Jalen Brunson. If he does get 2 more, we're looking at -105 on our money from DraftKings. I'm putting a full unit on it to win about 0.95 back. Right. Basically, look, man, it's about attempts. That a lot of these head-to-head bets come down to projected volume of attempts, of minutes, etc. They're both going to play 36 plus. Like Tyrese is in there now for a good 36 plus, as long as he doesn't foul, which he hasn't been in foul trouble. And Jalen Brunson, if he can go, right, he's going to go 36 plus as well. If he's fully healthy, he should be playing 40 to 42. But it still isn't like the attempts are there for Jalen Brunson from deep nearly as much as they are for Tyrese Haliburton. He had 10 3-point attempts in a game in the 6 games now that he's played against New York all season. 3 in the regular season, 3 in the postseason. 6 a game, right? 10 a game in those 6. Last game, he's coming off a 16 3-point attempt game in that one. 26 field goal attempts total. And Jalen Brunson, he took 6 threes last game, great, but he still, didn't make enough. He made 2 of them. Plus, he's at 5.8 3-pointers a game in the 6 that he's playing Indy. So this is what you expect. You expect about 5 to 6 for Brunson and about 10 to 12 for Haliburton based on the way that he's been playing against his team and what's more available to him. So I got to go back to him getting the threes versus Brunson in this one, even with a slightly worse line than it was last game, because I still think they're just going to keep running Brunson off the line the way that they have been for the majority of games. Like even his threes that he's taken have been very, very highly contested, as opposed to Haliburton, where if you were watching him last game, the Knicks are just turning around and letting him shoot, not even looking at him once he's on the 3-point line. So I got to go back to Hallie to get more threes, this time 2 more than Jalen Brunson in game 4. All right, closing it out with fourth quarter total bet under 52.5. We're going to start going to this. And I did this very consistently last playoffs where I would find these overinflated fourth quarter totals and go under because it's game 90, dude, right? We're at a point where everyone's tired naturally, especially if you play for the New York Knicks and Tom Thibodeau and you've been used to getting run into the ground because you play way too many minutes because Tibbs doesn't feel comfortable playing anybody than like the same 5 to 6 dudes every game. And now that there's injuries, which also happens to Tibbs teams, it's just all looking like everything's going to start slowing down even more for the Knicks. Plus the Pacers, as much as they want to play with pace, look at what happened in the last game. I mean, they played a 97 pace in that first half, 88 in the second half. And that was to the Knicks' credit and to their advantage, which is what they're going to be trying to do more than anything now is, well, we got to slow this thing down because Brunson needs to catch his breath since he's shooting every damn time down the floor. So does DDV, White Dante, because he's now not only shooting every time, half the time down the floor, he's also guarding Tyrese Haliburton, who's just never stops running on offense, right? So that's going to be a big reason why these dudes actually get tired, man. We're still only on 1 day of rest in between these games for these two teams. It's going to be tough. The other thing here is Brunson getting locked up a bit, man. And Nesmith has always been the best defender to guard Brunson. I cannot believe it took, I mean, I'm happy as a Knicks fan that it took Rick Carlisle 2 games to realize that the primary defender on Jalen Brunson should not be Andrew Nembhard. It should clearly be Aaron Nesmith. Now that it is, you saw what happened there. Like, there's a couple things here on that last bit. Nesmith locking up Brunson means fewer points available and making him work harder and getting more and more tired throughout the game. Plus, the Knicks hit 52% from deep last game. So if you wanted to take an under for the entirety of the game, it's at about 218.5 now. These scores should start coming down in these games. There's no way that they can play at a 97 pace without a Knicks player dying on the basketball court, essentially. And I also don't think the Knicks can hit that 52% three-point percentage consistently. Last thing for this one, there was 42 points scored in quarter 4 of this last game to help embellish the point that I'm making here. In that quarter, the Pacers got 7 second chance points off of 7 offensive rebounds, which is crazy for one quarter. And the fact that they did that against a Knicks team that normally doesn't allow that, that was an anomaly in and of itself. So the Pacers second chance points, the Knicks 3-point shooting, both were anomalies. And this game still went cleanly under this fourth quarter total last game. I'm going to go right back to this and bank on this being the case again. Really good odds here, minus 105 for a full unit. For that to go under 53 points here in game 4. Couple quick reminders here as well. Props.cash. If you don't have an account yet, this is what I'll be using every time that we're on that live stream. This is sort of the home base and what I'm using when I'm finding these player props for you. Really, really helpful tool. If you want 25% off, use code LYB24. You can go ahead and check it out, sort of like a trial period, if you will, for the first month. You do get 25% off of it with that code. You can kind of see if you like it to move into these other sports as well and into next NBA season for now. Also got the Discord live. That is where I'm dropping these bets nice and early. Already handed out everything that's in this video to everybody that's in the Discord. So if you want to make sure you get the same odds as what I'm betting, that would be where to do that. Plus, gave some early looks as well before that Josh Hart rebounding line moved and all that good stuff. So link is in the description of the video if you do want to jump in. Free for now. So get in there while you can. Quick look, as I said, how we did here on Saturday and how we've done so far year to date. So on Saturday, nice little 3-2 day, plus 0.8 units. We'll take it. Don't want to lose money. Always making money. Going to be happy with it. Head-to-head Luka rebounds was a beautiful call versus Chet. Way more rebounds than Chet Holmgren in that game. Tatum and Brown keep doing their thing in the first quarter for that little parlay. And the Celtics continue to win first halves like it's their job, which it is. And so we feel good about that. Gafford, I guess he's still a little bit hurt. Lively was getting all the minutes in the second half. Didn't make much sense, but it's got to be due to Gafford's hands because he's been so much better than Lively all playoffs. And Aaron Wiggins on the hook there. We had him at 7 points. Needed him to get over 6.5. Actually, we needed him to get over 6.5 was the bet for Wiggins. Minus 125. Missed 4 of his shots today. All of his threes. One of those goes down. We get it. So I'm still going to look to go back to him with Giddey and his lack of minutes continuing probably because Giddey's been way worse than Wiggins when he's on the floor. And I think Daigneault still realizes that and is going to depend on Wiggins a little bit more than he did in this last game moving forward. So year to date, we are still up 36 units on the season. To be clear, if you bet $100 a game, you made $3,600 in 6 months. Could be a little bit better, but obviously if you bet $1,000 a game, you get my point. Either way, we're happy with the record the way that it is. We're going to look to keep picking up these units in the playoffs, do a little bit better moving forward. Got a couple winning days in a row, so feeling really good about it. And that is all the time that I have for you guys in this one. Make sure you do jump in that live stream 1 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, about an hour or so before tip of these first couple games. So if you jump in there, then we can and get into some more of these bets that I'll have for you. Bring your bets that you want to look at in the comments, and I show you guys exactly how I find what I find, share my screen, give you all the tools that you need to find those bets for yourselves as well moving forward. So appreciate you all tuning in. Subscribe to that page if you would. It's very helpful to help the channel, and like this video. Big ups. Until I see you guys next, happy betting.